welcome to the amazing Tasmanian capital, Hobart. Always super popular as a travel destination. I'm so glad that we're finally here making this video. Now, if you're planning your own trip to Hobart, we have 10 amazing things for you to do. Let's get into it.
Now, you're probably all over the Museum of Old and New Art, or MONA as it's best known, and the amazing Salamanca Market, which takes place on Saturdays. Putting them aside, we'll ride high on a hop-on, hop-off bus tour. Get arty at the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery. Have a close encounter of the convict kind on a ghost tour of the Hobart Penitentiary. Sample some of the best single malt whiskies this side of Scotland. And much more. It's full steam ahead to explore Hobart. But first, take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more amazing travel ideas. I love a hop-on, hop-off bus tour. There's no better way to get to know a city, and Red Decker stops at most of Hobart's key attractions and provides commentary throughout the 90-minute loop. My first stop for the day is the historic inner-city suburb of Battery Point, home to a cache of fine period architecture and the only residential circus in Oz. The Battery Point Community Association has put together a self-guided walking tour, and President Charles Morgan tells me more.
So Battery Point was one of the first areas developed in Van Diemen's Land. It has a very strong history with the waterfront, with factories that were established in Salamanca Place, and a very strong history with boat building. There are some big mansions in Battery Point, but there are also lots of cottages where the workers who worked in Salamanca Place resided.
Now, the committee's put together a walking tour. Just tell us a bit about the walk.
Okay, the walk is called In Bobby's Footsteps, and it's a history walk around land that was granted to Reverend Robert Knopwood in, I think it was 1804. He ran into trouble with money, so the land was basically sold off. And so it takes you through various streets of Battery Point. We have a little booklet called In Bobby's Footsteps. So that can be purchased at the visitor center, or it can be purchased from shops in Battery Point.
Back on the bus, I enjoy the aircon on offer on the lower deck en route to my next stop, Cascade Brewery, which has just celebrated its 200th birthday. From Cascade, the bus returns to the city centre before heading out to the stunning Royal Tasmanian Botanical Gardens. This 14-hectare horticultural wonderland is free to enter and is packed with photogenic highlights, including the delightful lily pond and fernery. The Regal Anniversary Arch originally stood in the city and was relocated here in 1968 to mark the garden's 150th anniversary. Thanks to our good friends at TFE Hotels, we're staying at the fabulous Vibe Hotel Hobart, which has a great CBD location and offers 142 guest rooms and suites with clean, modern lines. From paddock to seashore, on-site eatery Belvedere showcases the Apple Isle's rich bounty of produce. And you can burn off any indulgences in the hotel's pool and fitness centre. Culture vultures will love their stay in Hobart, and I can highly recommend a visit to both MONA, as mentioned, and the Salamanca Arts Centre. Equally, don't miss seeing the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery, which occupies some of the oldest buildings in the city, including the Colonial Commissariat and Bond Store. The diverse collection will keep all ages entertained. Art lovers will want to see key pieces such as John Glover's My Harvest Home, painted in 1835, and T-Mag's emotive exhibition on the extinct thylacine, also known as the Tassie tiger, is not to be missed. Towering at 1,300 metres above the city, majestic Mount Wellington offers incredible views of Hobart and the surrounding region. Despite the ominous cloud cover, we board the Explorer shuttle to the summit and hope for the best.
All right, well, we moved mountains to try and bring you a good view of Hobart from the top of Mount Wellington, Kunanyi. Unfortunately, the mountain had other ideas. It is zero visibility up here at the moment, just really low cloud cover. Pretty spectacular though. The good news is our guide tells me he can get us a view on the way down. Let's go.
And a short walk from the bus stop at the Springs reveals this spectacular vista. Back in town, the Hobart Convict Penitentiary was established in the 1830s and would go on to house the old Hobart Jail and Supreme Court. The complex has a small museum and offers evening ghost tours.
I'm Stacey and I operate the ghost tours in here. The ghost tours are run Thursday, Friday and Saturday nights. You can come in and do the tour, learn some history and turn the lights out and see what happens.
We head down into the tunnels beneath the courtroom, which certainly are on the spooky side. And Stacey tells me more about the penitentiary's reported ghostly inhabitants.
I've seen a gentleman in a guard's uniform. A lot of people report seeing shadow people in here or white mists floating around. Depending if you're downstairs or upstairs, it might be a prisoner, someone that worked in here at one stage. It really does depend on the spot you're in.
The surviving solitary confinement cells were eventually deemed inhuman, and it's not hard to see why. Later, we get a taste of life on the inside.
What's your favourite part of the penitentiary?
The gallows. The
You
gallows.
get to see the gallows?
You do, you get to go under the gallows.
Oh, that's real spooky.
You're going to see where it all starts and where it all ends. I would say come in and do the tour. If you still leave a skeptic, that's fine, but more than likely you'll have some sort of experience in here.
Beer lovers don't have it all their own way in Hobart. Fans of a good single malt are also well catered for, as a visit to Lark Distillery's The Still reveals.
Tasmanian whiskey is considered some of the best in the world. We like to think that it's just different and it's very unique. We use Tasmanian barley, which gives a beautiful oily richness to the whiskey, and you tend to find that across all Tasmanian single malts. The industry started 30 years ago when Bill Lark first started making whiskey, and out of that an entire industry has grown. Certainly Lark Distillery is considered one of the world's most innovative distilleries, but you'll find the entire industry is just doing really interesting things, and the world has really stood up and taken notice. So where we are today is The Still, which is a celebration of all things Tasmanian whiskey. So what we do here is we celebrate every single distillery that is making whiskey across this state. So people can come here and they can explore whiskey in all its forms. We can do a fantastic guided tasting for them, where they get to taste directly from these barrels right here. We always like to tailor the experience directly to the guest, but if I was not able to ask the questions, I would always start with Lark Classic Cask. It is the style of whiskey that we've been making ever since we really burst onto the stage with the best whiskey outside Scotland, and it's what put Tasmania and Australia on the map for whiskey making. And then I'd probably do something really interesting, maybe our Kinotto cask. And with that, we actually season a whiskey barrel with Italian Kinotto. Well, it's Tasmanian Kinotto, but the Italian cola. And then we put the whiskey in there to finish. And the whiskey picks up a lot of those Italian Kinotto flavours. So it's really unlike anything you would have tasted before.
Hobart's waterfront is packed with attractions, and we're joining Pennicott Wilderness Journeys on their Iron Pot Sightseeing Cruise. And I had the pleasure of chatting with founder and former Tasmanian Australian of the Year, Rob Pennicott, about this popular 2-hour trip.
I'm Robert Pennicott, owner of Pennicott Wilderness Journeys. Well, from 12 years old I started skippering my own boats, and then I became a fisherman, and I used to take a lot of people with me fishing at the same time, and they'd be blown away by the huge cliffs, the caves, the blowholes, all the animals. It sowed the seed for what I started in 1999, and I managed to lose $40,000 that first year, but people were having a good time, so I had to fine tune, and then from there organically, 25 years later, we've got about 6 different products, and we've got 130 or so staff, and the journey we're on isn't just about what we go out and do, but it's our philanthropic arm as well, and from my heart that just feels really good. On the Iron Pot cruise, what the guests would expect would be to leave from the docks of Hobart. There'd be interpretation about history, flora, fauna. You might see some animals. We go to the oldest lighthouse in Australia, which is the old Iron Pot Lighthouse, and then we circumnavigate an island called Betsy Island, and then we come back. You don't know exactly what you're going to see. Group sizes are up to 14, and it's really good to have a tour like that leaves from a capital city, and 10 miles out you're in a relatively remote area.
And I'm quite surprised, as you say, I'm quite surprised about how remote and wild it feels so close to Hobart. That's obviously one of the strengths of this experience.
Without doubt. We leave every day at 2 o'clock, and in the summer do a 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, but definitely one of the strengths of the experience is that you leave from Hobart and you go into really quite a remote area so quickly.
Now, who wouldn't want to call in and have a drink at Australia's oldest continuously operating pub? Well, that's what you can do at the Hope and Anchor. Now, I've got to say, it's a bit of a contentious claim, but this particular pub even has its own museum. It's got to be old.
It feels fitting to wrap up this video at one of Hobart's many classic 19th century pubs. Grab that drink and head up to the Hope and Anchor's second floor to peruse the 2 centuries of memorabilia on display. For more ideas for amazing things to do in Hobart, just head to our website.